So thanks for joining us today. My name is Elizabeth Parks, and I'm the president of Parks Associates. And I'm so excited to bring Brett Jurgens, the CEO of Notion, to our virtual stage to share a little bit more about what's going on in the world of home security. So Brett, thanks for joining us today. Let's start out with a quick introduction of Notion, a Comcast company, and specifically what some of your goals are in 2022.
Yeah, hey, thanks for having me again. It's a pleasure. Notion started about 6.5 years ago, and we are in the home and small business kind of monitoring space. Generally speaking, we have a small device, a single sensor that can monitor multiple things simultaneously, all the way from doors opening to smoke alarm sounding, to temperature and water leaks, and kind of anything in between. Generally, we partner with insurance companies to distribute our products to their customers as part of buying insurance or potentially at the time of a claim, both to help our insurance partners acquire customers, retain and engage with those customers, and then also to reduce losses. So Notion's mission really is all about reducing the risk of property ownership. And it just so happens we have this kind of unique go-to-market strategy where all of our customers really get Notion for free. The Notion, a Comcast company piece, as you mentioned, just to touch on that briefly, we were acquired by Comcast a little over a year and a half ago, and are excited to kind of be part of a bigger machine to make an even bigger impact.
Absolutely, that's great. And we just released a new white paper actually with Comcast Xfinity talking about some of the opportunities with consumer choice, with home automation controls and security. And interesting to see the doorbell announcement that came out just this week. And a lot to talk about CES and 2022 and what's to come. So, can you share some of the trends that you think are going to be extended into our new year as it relates to insurance and smart home, as well as really the blurred lines that we're seeing between consumer and work, that work environment?
Yeah, yeah, we have a lot of interesting changes now that we see with our product usage, sensor placements, how people want to protect their homes, what they do and don't want alerts for now that a lot of people are home a whole lot more often. And so some of the things that I think are going to become even more prominent is just thinking about protecting your family and your home sort of while you're there. So I think a part of the home security push, the DIY push that we're a big part of, is going to continue. I think more and more people are getting more and more comfortable with all things kind of IoT, especially on a DIY front. We've actually had a few people mention that they appreciate they can set our products up themselves and don't have to have somebody come into their home, kind of related to just COVID safety. But I do think that with technology ease comes installation comfortability, just at a very interesting time when a lot of people may not want folks entering their houses. So we have heard a little bit of those things. Um, I do think that the connectivity that some companies are going to be able to have, kind of expanding how they connect and with what products they connect with, is going to expand starting next year in a bigger way beyond just some of the platforms that have been around for a while. I think it's going to be more purposeful integrations and more purposeful connections. I think you're going to see Notion continue down the path of um, integrations with both services and products that really focus on protection. I think that there's kind of the fun side of home automation. Cameras can be a little bit of both. A lot of people use cameras to watch cats and dogs when they're gone, but a lot of people also use cameras for very much security reasons. And a lot of the things that we've seen with our early research into the camera space has been people want outdoor cameras. They don't really want indoor cameras, especially now, again, being home a lot, they don't really feel the need to have cameras inside. There's kind of that big brother security aspect going on. So those are some of the things there. I think energy is going to be a big theme. There's a lot in the news about some of the plans of the current administration. I won't get political, but I think it's just becoming a much more prominent conversation. Things like what happened in Texas last year when you had power outages, kind of inclement weather, those types of things. I think it's just on people's minds. So monitoring energy storage, having backup, potentially thinking about solar electrified appliances. I just think there's a lot that's going to kind of continue to push down that path. Some of it will be sort of IoT based that goes to the homeowner. And I think a lot of it will be sort of automated out to the companies that provide a lot of those services because they are kind of technical. It's technical data. It's not something you really want to have to start dealing with. Whereas, an IP camera, maybe you actually do want to see what's going on when you're at home, but you'd like your energy to just sort of work and you'd like it to be cheap. So I think those are some of the big themes. I think from an insurance perspective, we're starting to see the incumbent insurance companies, the large ones, start to really scale some of their IoT efforts. I think that they are continuing to have the need for competitive advantages, and that's really where we come in, impacting for our partners acquisition, retention, and loss reduction. And I think that we sort of provide an interesting path for some of these insurers to follow when they've raised their hand to say, hey, we want to be more innovative here, and we want to partner with companies that have a lot of expertise on the IoT side, especially the DIY side, reducing costs. But I think as we then connect Comcast into the picture, I think a lot of the really big insurance companies think about long-term support of technology. Comcast, 40,000 trucks rolling around the country, massive, customer service workforce. There's a lot of operational support that goes in with making a program like we run really, really big and really impactful. And so those are some of the things that I think we're seeing from the insurance side. And I also think you're seeing insurance companies, last quick point here, experience more loss, and that's a lot of that is weather related loss as well. So I think that those loss ratios are being looked at quite closely, and we really hope to be able to help those insurance partners reduce those losses, and especially the homeowners that we care so much about. But we also think there's an interesting opportunity, which most people don't think of as often, to actually help insurance companies expand their markets. If you start to protect homes that maybe they weren't able to insure previously, they can really start to expand businesses in some interesting ways. So those are a few of the points I'd make, but happy to dive in on any of those topics. There's a whole discussion to be had about all of those.
Yeah, no, that was great. Thanks for running through really a lot of the things that we're looking at and that consumers are embracing. Networked cameras being now in 12 to 13% of all households. The doorbells really picking up steam as well. And overall, 36% of all households having a smart home device, also 36% having a home security system. So that role of integration and the user experience becomes more and more important as we see these overlapping ecosystems. Is there anything that you might be able to touch upon in terms of the end user control experience and what you're seeing consumers want? We've got all sorts of data showing a unified experience is really important and a barrier that the industry needs to work to resolve. So any comments you could say on that?
Yeah, I think our view at Notion is that the ease of use when first installing or using a product is sort of table stakes. I think there's a lot of companies in our space that have done a really good job with trying to make install and then sort of first 10-15 minutes of use really easy. The integration piece starts to get interesting. We were asked quite a lot early on, especially when, say, Alexa and Google Home came out, if we were going to integrate with those platforms. And I think everyone expected us to just say yes. And originally we said, well, not yet. And I think that the reason for that, to just kind of frame my full answer to the question, was really about use cases. Why do we integrate? Well, for us, it came down to I could ask, Alexa to tell me if my garage door was open while I was sitting on the couch, and that was nice. But instead, we took a path to spend our time, especially as a small company with few resources, to integrate with Home Advisor. Today, we still have that Home Advisor integration as a service that allows for you as a homeowner, if you get a freezing pipe alert or if you get a water leak alert, you have the option to push a button within our app to quickly get a highly rated and available plumber to come help you fix that problem immediately. So for us, I think that's just an easy representation of where I think the industry is trying to go, where I think it should go, is really, really purposeful integrations. I think too many people are talking about, and have for a long time, everything being on one app, everything working together. I think that's nice, but I'm not sure it's necessary. And I'll make an extreme example. Do you have one app on your phone? No. Why do you need one smart home app to do and to control and to integrate literally everything? I think our view is that it's probably best to have a little bit more of a thematic view. Notion can reside in home monitoring, security, home protection, home safety, those types of categories. And that aligns with our mission. It aligns with our partnerships and go-to-market strategy with insurance, and it aligns with the future of our roadmap. I think there's going to be other things like music, entertainment, TV that potentially go together in a better way. So I think there's room for, I'd call it two, maybe three sort of core kind of thematic experiences that can work really, really well together. I don't really think we need to make literally everything that's connected in our home connect into a single place. We've just gotten used to, having 10, 20, 30 apps on our phone and kind of bouncing back and forth between those things based on what we need. So I think we should continue to kind of go down that path. And I say that just because we've gotten to a point where we've tried to integrate a lot of other things into what we're doing, and consumers just it's too much. It's too much for an app to handle, and a cleaner design, easy to use, easy to set up, um, and having a really clear purpose, really clear kind of killer use case, if you will, for everything that goes into the home is really the more of the view that we're taking. That said, we do think that there's, again, products we will build, services that we will build, and then products and services that we will partner with. That there are some key integrations that we will make happen. And then the last thing, just for us, to bring Comcast back into the picture, I think it's kind of obvious. There's kind of this sort of theme, nothing kind of an official statement or anything, but sort of connect and protect, right? Comcast recently came out with some protection services that lie on top of your Wi-Fi network to protect your family, especially children and kids, from certain things on the internet that you may not want, to limit their time being able to use the internet, right? I think this is a natural extension of having your home and your family connected to the internet. You can now protect digitally. You can protect literally the physical property with Notion, and you have insurance that we bring to the table through our partnerships, kind of connecting the financial piece to sort of bring it together. So a little bit of a rambling answer, but I think some integration is important. I think it's become too much of a goal in some cases to try to integrate, everything together all the time.
Well, I love that answer, and really explains some of that perspective that you've got, and it speaks a lot to the Comcast role as the service provider in the home, and really taking a very carefully crafted approach with all the services that are being provided to consumers. So, Brent, I want to thank you for your time and your support of Connection Summit at CES and Parks Associates Research and Events. It's really always a pleasure to talk to you. So thank you again for joining us today, and look forward to seeing you in person.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me on today, and looking forward to it.